Are you helping versus hurting? Because you could actually be making their situation worse versus better. All right. A lot of times we think writing that check, sending that money, Zelle or Cash App real fast. They've made it so easy for us to just kind of get in there real quick and help people. Just because we can does not mean that we should. Well, hello there. I am Jini Thornton, and welcome back to another episode of the Thank Me Later show. Of course, with me, your host, Jini Thornton, where we help you master your money and transform your life. Now, I don't know if you're ready for this transformation we're going to talk about today, because this one is going to get a little deep. It's going to get a little deep. We're going to talk about helping versus hurting. I know you're like, ooh, I know. I felt it too. As Willie Moore Jr. would say, I felt that one in my sha-na-na too. Helping versus hurting. So how do you know when you are letting someone borrow some money? If you are giving some money to someone, how do you know if you're helping versus hurting? So y'all, we're going to get into that topic today. Super excited about it. So if this is your first time with the Thank Me Later show, we are so happy that you are here. Certainly we want you to like and subscribe, and definitely need you to share this information, because I know it's going to help you, but I want to make sure that we're passing this information on the other people around us who so desperately need the information too. So y'all, we're just going to get right into it. So I have to admit, kind of preparing for this episode today, I kind of just felt it all emotionally kind of coming up for me. And I'm like, oh, now that I'm telling the truth, I think when I thought it was helping people, I actually think I was hurting some people, right? So I'm going to make this list easy for y'all. 5 ways to know when you're helping versus hurting. 5 things that you need to do before you help somebody or allow somebody to borrow some money. And then for those of us who are borrowing, 5 things that you need to do as a borrower before you ask, okay? So let's jump into this list. Repeated dependency, that never-ending ATM. Is this a one and done? Or every couple of weeks, every couple of months, this person is circling back? That may be an indication that something is going on there. Number 2, avoidance of responsibilities. Are they dodging the real deal here? Are they really avoiding the root cause of why they keep having financial problems? When you keep helping them, well, you think that you're helping them. Now they don't have to change. Okay. So again, that was number 2. Number 3, this is one of my favorites. Are you funding foolishness? Are you funding foolishness? And see, a lot of times you're thinking, oh, maybe you're helping somebody pay daycare, pay a bill, but you may actually be funding foolishness. We can define foolishness a whole bunch of different ways. So we all know what it is, but you want to make sure that your investment is not helping somebody continue some bad behavior. See, I'm feeling this one right here when I'm saying this one. Like, I know I have helped to fund some foolishness. Want to make sure that you're not doing the same thing too. Number 4, ghosting accountability. So what do I mean by that is they're not explaining why they need the money, right? They're just, like, hey, they need it, but for what? You're the lender. You have the right to ask the questions. We don't have any obligation if we're the one who's actually sharing or giving the money. Okay. So I want to make sure that we take the time and take this extra step. All right. And then number 5, and this is an important one, strained relationship. Okay. If you help them, is it going to create an issue for your relationship? And ultimately, that's really what you're trying to protect. Because a lot of times I think we find ourselves saying yes because we think that's what's going to preserve the relationship, but not understanding, because you got to think about keep the end in mind. If they don't pay you back at all, or if they don't pay you back in the time that you think that it's supposed to happen, what is that going to actually mean for the relationship? All right. So that's my top 5. There's some others, that may be there for you. But again, this is just kind of so you can assess, it's a new year. It's a new time. We need to have a new approach, and whatever we were doing in the past, that's okay. Now we have some time to reassess, and we can determine how we're going to interact with these people. We still care about them, but it doesn't mean that we can't have new terms with them. Helping versus hurting. All right. Let's get into this top 5 real quick. Y'all see me with my paper notes up here. No shame. 5 things to consider before you loan money to somebody. Quick, easy 5 things for you. Number 1, can they afford to pay you back? Plain and simple. Because if someone is desperate, they robbing Peter to pay Paul, what is that going to mean for you? Because if this in fact is a loan means that I get paid back. A gift is something different. So you want to make sure that you're truly assessing that. Number 2, again, what are we just talking about? Are you helping versus hurting? Because you could actually be making their situation worse versus better. All right. A lot of times we think writing that check, sending that money, Zelle or Cash App real fast. They've made it so easy for us to just kind of get in there real quick and help people. Just because we can does not mean that we should. All right. So that's number 2, helping versus hurting. Number 3, what's the plan? So what's the commitment of when they're going to pay you back? And we have to treat this like business. I was telling the story the other day to our marketing director, Tiana Ridgway, about a relative. Many years ago when I was right out of college, I had borrowed some money from my great uncle, paid him back. This is back when you still had to write checks to people, right? And I had sent him the check, but I didn't call him and tell him that I mailed it. So when he had not heard from me, that man called me like a straight up creditor. I was like, he was shaking me down. But, I really appreciated that because I understood he loved me, but this was business. So he was clear on how much he was loaning me and when he needed to be paid back by, and not one day later. So I want to make sure that you're really clear on those terms. That was number 3. Number 4, again, please consider the impact on the relationship. Because sometimes, we can get past, some of us can get past bumps. I know so many people who don't speak anymore because of something financial. Is it really worth it? Because money can absolutely change or can ruin a relationship. And then number 5, how much can you give? You have to consider you're most important. How much can you give and how frequently? If this is not kind of a one and done thing, how often can you do this? I want to make sure that you're doing your own personal math and accounting first. So I know I said top 5. This is not on the list, but this is a consideration. When someone is asking you for some money, I need you to sleep on it first, like a full 24 hours before you say yes. Because I think a lot of times we feel like we have to give an answer immediately. No, you don't. We don't have to do that. I want you to push back because it's amazing what 24 hours can mean when you've had time to kind of process it. You might need to get advice from somebody before you say that yes. So please feel empowered to say, okay, I hear your request. I will follow up with you, 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever that is. But you are not compelled to say yes immediately. Please don't do that. All right. So for those of you who are borrowing the money, guess what? You have responsibility in some things that you may need to do too prior to borrowing. And hear me, I'm not coming from any judgmental point. I just told the story about borrowing money from my Uncle Brad. I've been in a position where I've had to borrow money before too. But here's how I want you to prepare. Number 1, do you really need it? Because are we talking about the difference between your car being repossessed or is it that you trying to go to Cancun? I know we can define need differently. So please make sure you're clear on what your need really is. Number 2, what is your payback plan? Because as easy as you're asking, it'd be very different if you're asking, hey, Jini, I would like to borrow $500. Here's my payment plan. I'm going to pay you this amount. My first payment will begin on this date. It'll be 4 payments the first of every month. I'm going to set up an automatic payment. See, now I know that this is business to you versus like, hey, I need to come through. I need to get $500. It's a whole different situation. So please make sure you know what that payment plan is, the payback before you ask. Number 3, and this is a good one. Is this your only option? I know it might be easy to call certain people. You could just run through your mom, your sister, your brother, girlfriend, boyfriend. But is this your only option? Is this really your opportunity to lean in and get this resolved? Get this problem handled some other way. So I absolutely want you to think about that. Number 4, again, will this impact your relationship? Even asking can impact a relationship because people are like, wait a minute, I didn't even know we had that type of rapport or relationship. So please be considerate of that because literally just asking, even if they don't give, you asking can completely change the landscape of how you all interact going forward. And then number 5, are you really willing to be honest why you really need the money? Because I know sometimes people say, I need it for this. That may or may not be true. So again, as the borrower, no shame being the borrower, those are the top 5 things. So the reason why, again, I really wanted to cover this because I hear from y'all all the time. You've co-signed for somebody. Please don't ever do that, by the way. Let me just lean in. Did y'all see me? Hold on. Let me go to my tight shot for this one. Please don't co-sign. I'm going to say it one more time. Do not co-sign unless you are willing to accept full responsibility for the debt. 100% of it, right? Saying that way, that kind of hits a little differently. So in the context of co-signing, borrowing money, living with somebody, because sometimes people need to do that to save money. Whatever all of that is, I need you to be very mindful. Take the time, approach it like business, go through these steps that I have literally talked about before you make the commitment. Last thing I want to say before we wrap up today, because listen, this was going to be like real quick because I'm like, y'all know this one's a little heavy right here. This is for all the people who are in a relationship. Because see, and I don't mean, and I mean intimate relationship, not parent-child, sibling, intimate relationships. I see that parent-child relationship where parents will feel compelled to help their adult children. I see adult children who feel compelled, like they have to help their parents. Then I see people in an intimate relationship, whether they're married, living together, dating. You still have to approach giving money or letting those people borrow money the exact same way. Don't let the emotion get in the way. You're talking about an ugly breakup. Oh my God, when it comes to money. And I have had the opportunity. That's the dope thing about my job. I get to talk to a lot of different people. And I used to have these very candid conversations with women who were really taken advantage of by the person that they were dating. And because they loved them so much, they co-signed, they let them use their credit card, they did all this, and guess what? Relationship's over. And then he was like, so what's that got to do with me? And it's devastating to see people have to completely rebuild because of assuming someone else's debt. So I know I've gotten a little heavy, but this is real. This is not like this happens every blue moon. This happens every single day. So again, remember what I'm saying. Approach it like business. You can still love someone and still approach it like business. I want you to be very intentional about it. All right. It was a little heavy when I started talking about couples and borrowing money and gifting money and helping to pay. And it's like, ooh, isn't that just supposed to naturally happen that way? Ooh, maybe yes, maybe no. But for any couple who needs some support, because it gets a little real, couples and money now, we have an amazing couples and money guide. That's all available to you at thankmelatermoney.com, where we have some really great resources. Again, thankmelatermoney.com. You can go to our community as well. All this all that information is shared right here for you. But please engage with us because you can't this ain't just a one and done. Okay. So little advice to help you get going as we, start off this year. So thank you. Thank you for tuning in with me. If you need additional information or additional resources, you can certainly tap in with our Thank Me Later community. All that information is shared below. You can see all that. Of course, you need to be following me on social media at Jini Thornton. You can see that. But we would love to hear from you because love to know what you need, what you want us to talk about. Got a lot of amazing changes that are going to happen in 2025. So thank you for tuning into the Thank Me Later show with me, your host, Jini Thornton. And listen, we want to make sure that we are helping and not hurting when we think we're supporting our loved ones. Okay. See y'all next episode.